Welcome back to CEO Money. I'm Michael Yorby, your host. Thank you for listening to us. All right, our guest this segment is Blake Beckham, founding partner of the Beckham Group, Beckham-Group.com. Blake, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Michael. Good to be here.
My pleasure. All right, Blake, background on you. You're an attorney. What kind of law do you practice? And I get the feeling that you've been here for a couple generations.
Yeah, I've been a fourth-generation Texan. Our firm specializes in complex commercial litigation, represent a lot of investors, contract deals, stock deals, oil and gas, real estate, that type of thing.
All right. And you've been in the legal field for how long?
31 years.
Okay, so I would say that you're well practiced.
Yes, sir.
You've got a point of passion about this high-speed train that we're going to talk about today on multiple fronts. Walk us down the path. What is the first thing that comes to mind on your position on this, and then where do you think it's going to end up as we go through these steps?
Well, I would say this. High-speed rail is a fun way to travel. I've done it in Europe. I would love it if Texas had a high-speed rail that it could afford and that we run correctly. Well, the reason I'm against this project that's planned from Dallas to Houston is it is absolutely going to fail economically, probably in the first year. It's going to be a burden on Texas and federal taxpayers. It's going to be like the superconducting super collider. It's going to be useless.
Why do you say it's going to fail? Give us some particulars of what you're thinking.
Well, I don't think it's ever going to be built, but I'll tell you why it's going to fail, first of all. At the cost of construction, they started out with $10 billion. They moved it to $12 billion. Tim Keith, the second in a string of three CEOs, has now said it's going to be over $15 billion to construct it. The construction costs are over $50 million a mile. The ticket price is going to be more than Southwest Airlines. It's going to be roughly the same amount of time to get there, and it's not going to take one car off the road, because if you, Michael, are going to go to Houston, you're going to take a taxi or an Uber down to the Cedars neighborhood and get on the train. Mm-hmm. You're not going to ride a bus. Texans don't do that.
Right, yeah.
And I don't know that you're going to load a bunch of suitcases and get on a bus and go down there. Most families will ride it once for fun, but if it's a $500 round trip to go to Houston, you got 5 people in your family, you could buy a car for $2,500.
Okay, so the economic model isn't going to work. People aren't going to use it as a form until it becomes cheaper. Is there any subsidies involved with this, tax breaks that people are trying to do for the construction, or the ongoing cost of maintenance and even ticket sales?
Great question. All of the Texas Central's public pronouncements are, we will never use any subsidies, not one dime, never, ever, never, because they want to escape the regulation that follows that. Then Ron Kirk is one of their ambassadors, and we catch him in the paper saying we're going to be aggressively seeking federal loans and federal programs. So they speak with forked tongue a lot, and if the government holds them to an investment-grade underwriting on some of the available infrastructure programs, it will never be built. If they've got a contact, if they've got some pull somewhere, they might get a federal loan, even though they said they'd never take it in the beginning.
Right.
That's how they got off the ground, that they might get a federal loan. When they started, they had a big splash. They said they had $75 million from Texas families and another $130 million from a joint venture. Their design, build, engineering firm was Archer Western, big global firm. There was a consortium of 2 or 3 companies that promised $130 million in donation, in-kind work, and they claimed that as part of their overall capital package. Well, Texas Central only announces good news, never bad. I believe they're on their 3rd design build lead constructor. You look on their website, and all that great news is gone. Archer Western's long gone, and the $130 million that they supposedly had in the bank never happened. So this project is currently dead in the water.
Well, what about this Japanese interest that's involved in here?
Well, the Japanese is the interest. The reason they announced supposed Texas investors was to get away from the thought of, hey, this is a Japanese company perhaps coming in to control infrastructure, do a land grab through eminent domain. All of the funding has been from the Japanese company. The Japanese economy is very flat. There's a lot of pressure to grow it. It can only grow through exports. And the Japanese investment bank has at times offered up to $5 billion as a loan towards this project. Here's the problem, though. They have not established they have eminent domain, and this project will never be built if they can't condemn the land.
And that path that they're talking about going through, is there any population centers, or are they trying to go around and through ranchers?
It's all greenfield. It's through ranchers. There's two routes, one down 45, which I think would promote visibility. It'd be a great marketing. 45, I drive it every weekend to my ranch. It is not crowded. If it was like 35 and you saw a train whizzing by at 180 miles an hour, you might think, gosh, next time I do that. Instead of taking property that's already been damaged by highways and the environmental issues have already happened, they're going through green fields, they're going through ranches that have been in people's families for 200 years, and they're bringing no benefit to any community. This benefits, if at all, Dallas and Houston and nothing in between. So the citizenry in the middle is up in arms that this Japanese company is going to take their land for not a fair price and build a train that nobody's going to use.
Well, it really sounds like a non-starter. Why is it still going? Why? I mean, what is the push on the other side?
You know, it's mystifying. We don't exactly know, but to give you a good example or counterpart, in California, the chairman of the California High-Speed Rail was named Quentin Koop, and Mr. Koop was the tip of the spear getting this thing pushed. He's now the lead plaintiff in the lawsuit to kill the California project. The same guy that was the promoter is now the lead opponent, and he said their studies show it's going to take 70 years of energy savings running the train to offset the carbon footprint of building it. So if anybody tells you this is a green train,
that doesn't sound like one.
Takes 70 years, and in Texas, they're strip mining lignite coal to power it.
Okay. All right. So that's going to add a whole nother level onto this. It's going to really be a uphill push. I just don't see how this can be, a winner for anybody from the way that you explain it.
No, when Elon Musk perfects the Hyperloop, let's all get on board and support that. It's going to be extremely cheap, and it's going to be apparently 10 minutes, and you can get from here to anywhere you want to. That's not going to be the type of tragedy that this train would be.
I get it. All right. Are you leading some kind of a push against this that
yes,
people can contact you about?
I'm working with a group of volunteers. The website is Texans Against High-Speed Rail, and we're on Facebook, we're on the internet, and there's a lot of news there and good information.
All right. Thanks for being a guest, Blake Beckham, and Beckham-Group.com. All right, you've been listening to CEO Money with Michael Yorba, and this segment is brought to you by our title sponsor, Tycon Partners. Thanks for joining.